Hello and welcome to Up Front with me, Patrick Christys. This is the show that gets sports stars in a room and then refuses to ask them anything about sports. Today we've got a very special guest with us. He's a living legend. He's got an OBE to his name. He's captained the England Test side, playing 117 times, scoring way over 8,000 runs. So he knows a thing or two about going into bat for his team. David, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Now, everyone will know you for your cricketing expertise, your punditry as well. You're also one of the finest amateur pilots that this country has ever produced.
I just need a licence now.
Which I think is magnificent. Do you not have one? Brilliant.
If ever I fly anything, whether literally anything, kite, helicopter, plane, wherever it might be, I always need someone besides me who has a licence, beside me rather, not besides me, and both. I need someone with a licence just to make sure this is legal.
Okay.
So, apart from the obvious tiger moth, where I had a fellow called Bruce behind me doing the flying, I have flown one of those subsequently with hands-on controls, and it was great fun. But I've been at the controls of a Phantom, various military helicopters, various light aircraft in places like Kenya and all over the world, but always with someone there who says, maybe I'll take over now. And I've always enjoyed it, but I've never quite taken it, I have to admit, to the level where I've gone, I should really learn how to do this. Unlike Agnew, who's got his proper licence and happily flies his dog around the country.
Right.
Agger's going to the theatre in wherever it might be, puts the dog in the back seat, flies off there. I'd love to be able to, actually, seriously, I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I guess, I now have maybe have the time to learn, but it's a bit late to start. And of course, there's a budget involved as well. But it would be fantastic just to be able to fly your own, wherever it might be, gyrocopter or helicopter. That would be great fun.
Well, my point is that you're obviously a character. You're one of the great characters in sport. But now I interview sports stars every day, and goodness me, the different levels of boring that you come across all the time. It's like it's being coached out of them. Are we lacking in characters in sport now? Would you like to see a little bit more, kind of just something to them, even if it means the odd controversy every now and again?
I would, like you. I think, because if you're in the business of listening to this all the time, then you kind of switch off. And I think, and I'd also guess that the listening public, they're not fools out there, by no stretch of the imagination. So you're trying to provide something interesting. And if you look at, as you're right, I mean, in my game in cricket, for years, England players have been given the party line. I mean, and the obvious thing is, the obvious thing is this. Someone's just had a great day, they made 100 at Lord's, say, and they get shoved out in front of a camera, and someone says, well, how's that for you? And the correct answer is, oh, it was fantastic. That was brilliant. I loved every moment. Lord's is special, crowd was great. This bloke shouted at me halfway through. I thought, I'm going to show him, and you want a bit of background to the story. But inevitably, within about 3 seconds, someone says, yeah, but it was a great day for the team.
Yeah.
And I think, well, yeah, we know that. That's a given nowadays. You basically have a subtitle saying, it's been a great day for the team.
Yeah.
But I want to hear, like you, I want to hear what they're really feeling. And the worst, one of the moments I remember horribly from a few years ago now involves Kevin Peterson, who was a fantastic player, hugely talented. And it was the day at Headingley where he smashed Morley Morkel and Dale Steyn all around the park, made the most brilliant 100. And it just made them look pathetic almost. They made them look like very ordinary village cricketers. And we waited on air for 30, 40 minutes to get the thoughts of the great Kev. And when he came out, he was in one of those miserable moods, going, it's been hard, it's been really hard. It's been tough today. And this was at the same time as the London... Well, it's not bad. At the same time as the London Olympics, where every British athlete in the country had been going, whether they got gold, silver, bronze, or just failed. Huge, great smiles on their faces saying, isn't this fantastic? London's brilliant. The Olympics are going so well. And you just went with them. You empathised, sympathised, identified with all these guys loving what they did. And I sort of looked at that screen and thought, no, Kev, we want you to be happy. And it's one of those things, I mean, I can understand because the emotions of a game can sometimes squash you. And he was obviously having a tough time at that time, which we didn't really know at the time. But then you have this chance, and if you're well advised and you've got a sort of grain of common sense, you have this chance to say, you don't have to be sort of a real ego necessarily, but you can say, I'm great, I've had a great day, wasn't that fun, I hope you enjoyed it back home, and you can share the joy, which I think is what people would like to see back home, because all these people watching, They watch the greats like Kevin, and they want to see great things. They've just seen something fantastic, and to get him to say, "Wasn't that fabulous? I hope you enjoyed it at home," would have been just brilliant. But no, it's been a tough day, eh?
I think we want to see that human side, don't we? Which is why we try and do things like this. But look, obviously, in the wake of your departure from Sky, I was seeing it just on Twitter, which is often kind of a forum for people with opinions that maybe can't quite back them up. But a lot of people were saying, look, we think this is a bit ageist. We think this is a little bit of a shame, and that perhaps they're pushing for more variety and things like that. And we see that a lot now, don't we? What's your take on that?
Well, I sort of better be quiet. But no, it's been explained to me over the last couple of years, and I've tried several times over the last couple of years to hang on to that job, which I absolutely loved doing, and felt really comfortable in. Love all the people around. That sort of team of whatever it is, 80 to 100 people at Lord's, for instance, for a test match. You get to know people, you get to know the cameraman, you get to know the people down the back. Everyone's part of that team. And a lot of those guys have said nice things about it too, and said, well, not quite sure where you're going, but it's been explained a few times about the evolution of television, the way it looks and how people portray things nowadays and who they want in front of camera. And it's a decision which they took. So, I've had a couple of years to ponder it. I don't have to agree with it. As I say, I did my best to try and put the case, try and sort of, as it were, kept writing emails to apply for my own job back again if they might reconsider it, But it hasn't worked. So that bit is done. But I always have to make the point, and in fact tell myself that I've had a great 20 years doing that, and for which one is both grateful and acknowledges, the good fortune of having something like that to do in the first place. For me to have had, whatever it is, overall something like, I think it was something like 18 years of professional cricket, 15 years of international cricket, 20 plus years of talking about the game and being paid for it. That's fantastic. And that is the good news. And I have to sort of temper the ambition in the sense that I'd love to be still doing that, thinking that in 6 months' time we're back at Lord's again doing the same thing. But now it's a question of saying, okay, that bit's finished. How do we plug the gap, both in terms of using a bit of something up here, using the skills that I hope acquired over 20 odd years, and because I enjoy talking to people out there, to Ian Botham even, amazingly enough,
You still got on with him after the whole kind of wine gate.
When you say wine gate, he was. In fact, here's the beefy. You're playing beefy perfectly today, because that last day at the Oval was actually quite funny, because I pitched up, because the last year or so it's been smart casual, so jacket but open shirt and the rest of it. I'm thinking, no, for my final day I want to get back to standards that are me. So I thought, put the suit on. It'd be like applying for a job, really. Sort of pop down the city, down the job centre, say, well, I've got my own suit, just give me a job. Ian, of course, pitches up very demob happy, knowing that he's going to go off and make wine for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And he's got the shorts on, T-shirt, fishing shirt, and he's quietly quaffing Botham wines at the back of the box mid-afternoon. So we get to that bit at the end where I'm thinking, I just want to sort of say a couple of nice things here and sort of pay off with a little decorum and style. And he's basically trying to do a sort of Two Ronnies sketch in the background, clink, clink, It's been great, hasn't it? Okay, fine, Phoebes. Just calm down. I'll just come to that bit in a moment. And it's an interesting contrast. But no, I've known it for 40-something years now, and we've done all sorts of things. Apart from play cricket together and broadcast together, we've done safaris together, which I got him onto that probably 15 years ago or so.
I can imagine Ian Botham being quite dangerous on a safari.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
He's actually, but he's grown like so many things. Ian, when he gets his head around something, does it properly. So, for instance, first time I took him in South Africa out to a place, I think we went to Leopard Hills, which is a lovely, lovely spot. Sabi Sands area, just the west of the Kruger. And he hadn't got a camera, so I took him shopping in Johannesburg for something compact, little zoom lens. And he started going click, 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 and these things nowadays take fantastic photographs at the drop of a hat. I'd got my old Canon stuff, long lens, body, the whole thing, little bag, sort of trying to do it properly, shutter speeds and the rest of it, and the photographs kind of matched. A couple of years later, we're back there again, and Ian, being Ian, has gone, well, I've got the hang of this now. And he arrives with this massive, great camera bag, sponsored by Olympus, with a lens that can sort of see the surface of Mars. He's clicking away, the shutters going there. It's hardly stopping for 4 hours of a morning drive. So he's completely immersed in it now. And then he hands his camera off to sort of one of the guys at the lodge saying, "Can you just edit those down for me?" And I'm thinking, no, you can't do that. There's 4,000 photographs there. This poor guy's just driven us around for 4 hours. He got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You give him a break. No, he's got to go and edit 4,000 photographs down to 200 usable ones. But he really does get into these things.
Fantastic. Well, look, I know you've had some tremendous experiences on the pitch, but I want to ask you about just a couple of them off air. You've been travelling all over the world with your punditry as well, and you must have had some pretty interesting experiences. What do you reckon, if you had to pick the one most bonkers experience that you've had as a pundit, what would it be?
As a pundit, good question. What have we done? I mean, the Tiger Moth you alluded to as a player, of course, that was fun. That was just pure fun. And that was one of those moments that I just chose not to let go. As a pundit, there was one incident where in Brisbane a couple of tours ago, the last tour we did in Australia, so it must be 6 years ago or so, and in a tiny commentary box, so you sort of shuffle in and shuffle out, they had those chairs that have a bar that goes all the way along the floor underneath. And Nasser, who I was just about to take over from, I just handed over to, was sitting down. I was there ready to go, and now commentary from Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton puts the chair firmly on both feet. And so this strangled came out, which of course, the two of them then collapsed in a heap on the commentary desk in front of us and then picked it up. And I remember others saying, "And Lord Gower just hobbles out." The one thing I am thankful for is that under those circumstances, I could have used a very different word for that moment where the pain just sort of kicked in as all 5 toes on both feet were sort of trampled by Hussain putting this chair down.
That's the professional in you.
Well, I don't know, it was just luck, I think. Just luck.
All right, well, look, we're going to do something a little bit different now. We're going to go in for a little bit of a quick fire round, okay?
Right.
So, we're going to see how quick you are on your feet with these. I want the first either word, couple of words, or sentence that comes to mind when I say a few little phrases at you, all right?
I hate this.
We got a deal?
I absolutely hate this.
He loves it, really. All right,
Go on,
okay.
yeah.
The top 3 guests that you would have at a dinner party, living or dead?
It is my least favourite question. The top 3 guests for a dinner party would be Sir David Attenborough, Kate Blanchett, because I just fancy her, and she's actually a rather good actress. In fact, she's a fantastic actress.
Probably should have let him with that, by the way. Probably should have let him with that bit, by the way.
Well, could have done. That's 2. So we got David Attenborough, Kate Blanchett, and Henry VIII.
Oh, decent. Sorry. Okay. Why Henry VIII?
Well, I mean, he must have something to talk about, the old boy. I mean, he did lots. Not
women
that I
trouble.
agree.
Definitely women trouble.
Definitely that. So good marital advice, and sort of a bit of religious advice, and a bit of conquering here and there, and a bit of hunting, and he'd be quite interesting, surely.
Yeah. Okay. Boris Johnson.
What about him? Am I?
Just first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Boris.
Mayhem.
Oh, okay.
Absolute mayhem.
Okay, all right. Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle. Do you know, I actually have seen Suits because one of my daughters was right into Suits, hence the suit.
Dapper. Okay. One thing that you could outlaw in this country.
Pedestrians. Pedestrians walk in front of your car as if it is 2 ounces, 2 grams. I mean, this is a car. This is 2 tons of. I might not be looking. If you walk out in front of me, I could kill you. That's why there are zebra crossings. Pedestrians.
Okay, all right. Your favourite non-sporting celebrity? Not one that you've already named.
Favourite non-sporting celebrity? Not one I've named already. Hugh Jackman.
Oh, okay. Why?
Well, I loved some of the stuff he's been doing recently. The movies, The Greatest Showman. Those are the sort of movies I quite, especially in these troubled times. I like a movie with good sound, energy, a story, all these things, a diversion. And I remember watching that, Sky, I kept missing the start of it on Sky. It's on. It's one of those movies I've seen the last, hour several times, and one day I'll catch the absolute beginning of it, but I have now seen it. And I just thought it was great fun. It was a bit like Moulin Rouge all those years ago. Baz Luhrmann again. Baz Luhrmann's colours, the vibrancy, it is just literally a different world. And I'd love all that as a complete diversion.
Okay. 3 things to take with you on a desert island.
Very fine bottle of wine.
What would it be out of interest?
Unlike Syrian, my favourite wines are French. And I always like a drop of Lynch-Barge, which is neither too expensive nor cheap. So if you're going to take a bottle of Lynch-Barge, then actually you need to take a corkscrew, because that would be rather a shame not to have a corkscrew when you're sort of standing there going, because you've got to do it, it's got to be style, you've got to do it properly. You've got to actually get the foil off properly and sort of double lever corkscrew, out it comes nicely, and then I don't need a glass. I mean, one should have a glass, of course, but I mean, I can get away without a glass. Therefore, one more thing to take on my desert island, sofa bed.
Fantastic. David Gower, thank you very, very much for coming in and joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Good fun.
Right. So that was Up Front with me, Patrick Christys, and of course the main man himself, David Gower. Tune in next time for more of the same, more top sporting stars talking about anything other than sports.